Alright, so the NFL is reportedly going to go to a 17 game schedule for the entire league for the upcoming 2021 NFL season, as opposed to a 16 game schedule which started all the way back from 1978 and went on until the 2020 NFL season. There was word is floating around even before it was a popular notion. I know one user in my comments section where I talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers upcoming schedule, BMF brought it up. And I didn't know what to think at first because I thought the 16 game schedule was fine, but having 17 games, it might present some benefits, but it's definitely going to have its problems. One benefit I could see from this is the NFL getting more revenue after the dismal numbers that it had during the last NFL season with COVID and all that. And even on Super Bowl Sunday, it was their least grossing Super Bowl, which honestly sucks because I was one of those people who was jumping for joy when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 55. Another thing that I could see happening is NFL records are more likely to be shattered. So we could see a new leader in passing touchdowns in the season. We could see more 1,000 yard receivers coming in. Like Mike Evans already has like 7, 8 years with 1,000 yard game with 1,000 yard seasons. He already has 7 on the record book, beating out Randy Moss's 6. So Mike Evans could potentially get his 8th 1,000 yard season due this year. But with that said, though, let's look more in depth into this. Now, with these new games coming in, the 17th games, there needs to be an extended deadline for when the regular season occurs. Either we push the preseason back 1 week in order to accommodate, or we push it forward to the second week of January for the regular season to end. And the NFL decided to let the second week of January be the week that 17th week of games would be played. So, yeah. And also, our opponents we're facing, our 17th opponent will be from another AFC conference, and it will depend on the parity of schedule who we're going to be facing. According to DraftKings Nation, we're likely to take on the Indianapolis Colts because of their strength of schedule. So, yeah, we expected to be on the lookout for that. But there are some major problems here, and one of them I want to talk about is what are injuries going to be like and how are we going to prepare for that? Because the NFL last year went up to 801 injuries in the 2020 season, and at times we had a 2.21% spike in injuries in 2 weeks. Week 7 and week 15, we had a 2.21% injury increase. I mean, yeah, we'd be pretty lucky to stay under 600 injuries, but with 801 injuries last season, I'd expect the number to go up. So, unless the NFL has some protective measures in place to make sure that players get enough rest and are able to avoid the injury bug, yeah, we could see more and more players getting injured during the stretch of the season. So, overall, I'm very hesitant about the 17 game schedule, but if it has to come to that, it has to come to that. And I, yeah, if it happens, it happens. And if we take on the Indianapolis Colts with their Carson, with them having Carson Wentz at quarterback, And with us re-signing most of our players from our Super Bowl run and possibly getting some more weapons in the draft, like Elijah Moore, Aaron Robinson, and probably a guard like Alex Waterwood or Darian Parker, then we could end up possibly going 13-4 in the year and still being in the first round. Still being a first seed in the playoffs. So, yeah, what happens, happens. If the owners vote to go to 17 games, then the owners vote goes 17 games. I'd be a little hesitant about that if I was the owner of the Buccaneers, but that's just me. All we can do now is just wait to see what happens, and if majority rule says we have to go to 17 games, then fine, so be it. I just don't think it's going to work out in the long run.